Hello and welcome to A Soul's Experience, a channel dedicated to helping the human race remember who we really are. So this video is going to be slightly different. I haven't made a video for a while because I was working on myself internally, going through some stuff, but I'm back and the message is so important that I still feel that urge, that voice inside me is still saying, go on, if you're going to do something today, let's help get the message out there. So like I said, this video is going to be slightly different. I'm not going to be talking about advice or motivation or anything like that. It's actually going to be about an experience I had when I was younger. For the longest time now, since this memory came back to me sort of a year ago now, I've been sat with this memory trying to work out, was it a pre-birth memory or was it a near-death experience? As a child, I suffered really bad with asthma. I was hospitalized numerous times, nebulizers, oxygen tents. And the more I think about this memory I have, or download some people call it, which can come to you when you start meditating, spirituality, these memories, these memories, real true memories of stuff you've been through can come into your mind. And a year ago, that's what happened to me. So I'll just get into it. I'm pretty convinced that it was this happened. This near-death experience happened whilst I was in the middle of one of my asthma attacks. Now, the reason I'm pretty convinced it's a near-death experience and not a pre-birth memory is because from all the research I've done over the past year, we choose to come to this life. We agree on a plan, a birthday and a death day, and like an experience we want to have, who we want to be, is all very well planned. So I imagine the pre-birth memory would be like, yeah, I'm up for this, let's go to Earth. Whereas in the memory I have, I really did not want to come back down to this planet. And it's literally because of that, me arguing with this angel, this woman. I'll get into what happened in a second, but the fact I didn't want to come back kind of shows me that I was already there. And I felt very young, very childlike in my essence when I was with this lady in the clouds, arguing that I didn't want to go back down here. So yeah, I'm convinced now after all the research I've done, it was definitely a near-death experience. And let's get into what happened. So the actual event that led up to this, I'm convinced was an asthma attack. There's no other way, there's no other injury I had that was life-threatening except my asthma. I remember personally 4 or 5 times being carried into the hospital, not being able to breathe, lips turning blue. I'm still on medication actually. I'm 36 now and I'm still on medication to this day because of my asthma. It's lifelong, I was born with it. And so I'm going to have to look into my medical records, but I don't know whether that'll tell me when this experience happened, but it was definitely 100% within the first 6 to 7 years of my life. I'm going to say around 5 years old. The reason I say that is there was a specific asthma attack I had where I don't remember getting to the hospital. Normally I felt the asthma attack coming on, I would find help, my mum. She was a single mother, so I'd find my mum or a sibling, one of my brother's sisters would find me and be like, Sean's going blue again. And I would kind of remember the process of being rushed into hospital. And I'd always remember going in because when you have an asthma attack, unlike other injuries, they rush you straight in. I've been in hospital with broken bones and they can leave you 4, 5, 6 hours waiting with a broken leg or arm. When it comes to you not being able to breathe, you're straight through. And I always found that quite interesting when I was a kid. Anyway, back to the story. So this one particular time I had drunk a whole bottle of undiluted juice and the chemicals in it brought on an asthma attack really quick. Within 30 seconds to a minute, I would say, I was struggling. My mum put me on the bin to check me over, to sit me on the bin, and she saw my lips turning blue. I was really struggling. This time I was just big eyes. Just every muscle in my body was just contracting to just try and get air into my lungs. And I was just staring at my mum with this, it had gone beyond fear. It was survival mode. There was no time for fear in my mind. It was breathe, keep your eyes open, breathe, keep your eyes open. and I don't remember that time being taken to a hospital. However, the memory that I do have, which came to me sort of 30 years later, this memory came to me about a year ago now. It was in the clouds. So I'm staring out my window a year ago. I'm staring at the clouds. And I remembered as a child being obsessed, telling people, I remembered in that moment telling people there's people in the clouds. There's people, you can live in the clouds, you can live in the clouds. I remember it for the first few years of my life, 4 or 5 years, I was obsessed. There's people in the clouds, there's houses up there, you can go up there. Obviously being a child, people, you're silly, you're stupid, but there's a reason why I was so obsessed with that, and that's because my near-death experience actually occurred within the clouds itself. I didn't go beyond. If I did, I can't remember it. The only part I actually clearly, vividly remember is being in the clouds. So I'm in the clouds, but just as a point of view, I can see, I can hear, but in my mind, no one spoke. It was passing thoughts to each other. But I'm in the cloud, almost in a booth. And the cloud felt, it was a long, the cloud was like, as clouds are, into the distance in the sky. But it was almost sectioned off into booths. That's the only way I can, them like semicircle booths you can sit in with people. The cloud was almost like one here, one over there, one over there. And I was in my own separate booth. And coming out the cloud, from the shoulders up, I'd say chest up, was a woman, blonde, the most beautiful skin, perfect, as if she'd been photoshopped, like absolutely perfect. But she was just head and shoulders, and I would say if this was head and shoulders in height terms, she'd have had she was much bigger than me. I was sort of down here looking up at her, and she was part of the cloud, then coming out of the cloud into this most beautiful woman, aged around 28, 29, 30, that sort of age, maybe, sort of young, youthful, this perfect skin with this perfect pink blush in the cheeks. The hair was, when it moved, it almost moved in a pattern. It wasn't like erratic, nothing was erratic, everything was kind of perfect there. And then I look across to this section of the cloud. If you imagine the clouds being in this sort of shape with booths either side. So I've looked across over here, and there's a man in a white suit with a tie and a shirt, and his hair done back like a teddy boy. I don't know if you had teddy boys, you had them in England, but around the other parts of the world. He had his hair gelled, slicked back, really neat. Really, really neat. And he was just smiling. This smile on his face was huge, and he was staring at me. And this smile, he had like one foot up against the cloud, kind of like leaning back, real cool looking, like the Fonz almost, like, hey, he looked like such a cool dude. And he was kind of like leaning back and just looking over at me and just nodding and smiling as if he was so proud of me. And I remember looking over to this man thinking, who are you? I didn't know who he was. I was very, very who are you? He looked so happy. Why are you so happy to see me? He knew me. I wasn't sure who he was. The woman in the cloud, however, the trust I had for that woman, I don't know if angel or woman. I'm going to say woman because it was a woman. It was a female of some sort. So the woman in the cloud, I trusted her as if she was a mum. I trusted her. She had the aura of someone who looked after thousands of babies almost. You could leave her in a room with 1 million babies and she would make sure every single one of them was taken care of like they were her own. That's the energy I got from this woman, this spirit. And I trusted this woman so much that she's the actual reason I'm here. She's the reason I'm back on Earth, 100%. Because after looking around and seeing, you're curious as a spirit. Spirits are curious. When I was in spirit, I was I was so distracted. I was so distracted by what's that? What's that? What are they doing? Who are they? Because in these booths going down the clouds, there was like groups of three, which is really, really funny. I thought about this the other day. I was in a group of three. There was me, the man kind of just staring at me in awe, like, I'm so proud of you. And then this woman. So I really felt like in all these booths, there was other spirits going through maybe near-death experiences, what I was going through. But they weren't interested in me and I weren't interested in what they were doing. I was interested. I was kind of like, what's going on over there? But it wasn't, I was way more caught up in what was happening to me at the time. And now the reason I say that the only reason I'm back here is because I argued with this woman. I didn't put up a very good argument. It was it wasn't aggressive or anything. It was just, I really did voice, or, through the mind, I said, I don't want to go back down there. And the two words that come to my mind that I would have used if I was going to say now, grotty and grimy. That is the feeling. When I was in the cloud, you could feel this energy coming from Earth. And it just felt like, like you just want to, like, get off me. That is how it felt. And where I was just, why do I want to go? I'm not going back down there. I ain't going back down there. I said to this woman, I'm not doing it. It's grotty, it's grimy, it's nasty down there. I ain't doing it. And she looked at me and just with this smile, like nonchalant smile. I don't want to say she wasn't taking me seriously, but it was kind of like when you look at a kid and go, don't be silly, go on. Like, I don't want to go into school, it's scary. Oh, go on, you'll be fine. It was exactly like that. I'm like, I ain't going down there. And she was like, you'll be fine. And I trusted her. As soon as she said, go on, you'll be fine, with this little smile, but she didn't say it, obviously, it was all in the mind, like I've said. As soon as she gestured with her head down to earth, go on, you'll be fine, I thought, I trust you. It was instant. It was like, will I? Boom! It was like, okay, boom. It was just, I just, as soon as I was like, okay, it was like, there's no other memory after that. So as soon as I trusted her, which I did, which I still do, I still trust you, whoever you are, guardian angel or spirit guide or maybe a mother of that specific, spirits must have jobs. I believe they've all got jobs up there anyway. So when we pass over, there's certain angels that will guide and take care and this and that. And I believe she gave off the aura of such a motherly presence, like an eternal mother, maybe my spirit mother, I'm not sure, but I trusted her, and as soon as I did, I ended up back on Earth. I've gone over this memory in my head so many times because the feeling gives me so much peace when I imagine myself back in that moment. But I kept on wondering, who is this guy? Who was that guy? And then I remembered. My dad had a brother who was a teddy boy who passed away when he was 21, when I was a baby. And he died because his lungs collapsed. Funnily enough, I ended up with severe lung problems as well. His lungs collapsed when he was 21 and he passed away, unfortunately. God rest his soul. And I've not actually told my dad about the description of this guy. I've only ever told my brother, or about this near-death experience specifically, I've only ever told my partner. So it's the first time I've actually shared it, ever. And I'm pretty convinced that was my uncle. The smart suit, the teddy boy look, the gel black hair. I'd love to go and actually speak to my dad and see a picture of my uncle. But I do remember my dad saying that, your uncle was a teddy boy, always looked smart, and, always had his hair done. Who else would be up there just looking at me like, yeah, man, I'm proud of you, like, go on. He always looked at me like, you're doing so good, like you're so great. He was just this smile of big white teeth and this beautiful black hair. Again, perfect, nothing out of place up there, just perfectly suited and booted. So I believe that was my Uncle Cliff. That was up there with me. Didn't speak to me, just looked with approval from across the room, as if to say, "You got this." And so yeah. What else can I say about the experience that would be helpful to people? My thought process that goes through me, my consciousness, if you want to call it that, that was exactly the same as who I am now. The way I would argue, like nah, like the words I would use, almost the feeling I would give off, the kind of the personality that makes me me on the inside, not the ego, but the true me from the inside. That was all intact. That was still me 100%. As far as identifying myself in that moment, I was an awareness. I don't know how, I wasn't anything else but awareness and feeling. I was aware of everything. Didn't know everything at that moment, because I was, near-death experience. We don't all get to go back to the oneness and reunite with our creator. For me, it was like quite a small, like I think I got to the fringes of leaving Earth, and I was up there, and they were like, "Come on, man, go back. You're all right." And I was saved, but I was awareness. I was curious. I was full of questions. I wanted to know what everything was, who people were. I could feel so far off into the distance and other energies that I knew that there was like people down there or spirits down there, like miles, hundreds of thousands of miles away. I could feel this eternal universe. You can look so far with your vision, almost whatever your conscious vision up there, but the feeling, it extends. I could feel Earth from wherever I was. I could feel the energy from that. I could feel the curiosity of my energy going this way. I could feel my feelings towards this woman who was watching out for me. I could feel my fear for going back to Earth. I could feel my curiosity for who I now to believe my Uncle Cliff on the other side, looking at me. And all of this I was able to just all at once, but not all at once. If I looked at my Uncle Cliff, I was very focused on that. And I admit, every detail, the shoes, the suit, the hair, I wanted to know what it's all about. Why does he look like that? Why does he look so smart? Why is his suit white? Why is his hair black? And this woman's hair was blonde. I had a question for everything. So spirits, I was just so curious as a spirit. And the other thing was the clarity. The clarity I had up there about what I thought I wanted, how I felt at that specific time. Well, no, not what I thought I wanted, what I wanted at that time. And there's a real feeling when you're up there that even though you are this spirit, this eternal consciousness, individual consciousness as well, you keep your objectives as a spirit. Your likes and your dislikes still. And this was the thing that was like, as a spirit, you still, I never quite made it. I don't have any memory of being in the that unconditional love that people talk about, the white light. I wasn't in that. So I still had quite a fear in me of going back to Earth. I still felt this negative energy on my right hand side. I still felt the direction of this horrible hellhole of a place. This dirt bag of a bin down here. That's how it felt when I was up there. Like Earth was like so grimy and ugh. It was just the most horrible energy coming from Earth. And it really surprises me that we choose to reincarnate and come back here. But that's, as souls, we're courageous, we're brave, and curiosity killed the cat. We're curious. And when we're in a place of spirituality, or we're back on the other side, we know we're eternal, right? Nothing can really hurt us. At that moment in time when I was within my near-death experience, I didn't feel that. I wasn't 100% back yet. I was I felt like a baby. I felt like I was a whining baby throwing a tantrum, and I would have rather just sat on that cloud for eternity than go back to Earth. I was happy where I was, just looking about. I was just looking about, like, this is cool, like, what's going on? You know, it's all white up here and it's all right up here. You know, everything was white and everything was all right. I was cool there. I didn't need to move. Like, leave me be. That's how I felt like, do you know, like a teenager when he's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to get up in the morning. That is exactly how I felt. Like, leave me alone. I ain't going back. Leave me alone. But yeah, that's my experience. I didn't get to stay. As you can see, I'm back. But the one main thing it's done for me is take away that fear of death. And I used to be one of them people that would sit there and imagine that once you died, it was blackness, eternal nothingness. You were gone for eternity. You were going to be forgotten. And there was no point to my life. I never, ever, ever, ever saw the point to life if there wasn't an afterlife. Didn't make any sense that you could murder 1 million people and die, or you could help 1 million people and die, and after 100 years, you'll both be dust and bones. And there was no point to any of it. That really didn't sit well with me. And it used to haunt me, these questions. Why am I here? Why can I question my own existence if there's no point in the question? When we're told that everything in life has a purpose. You know, the circle of life. You know, this eats that eats that grows that pollinates that, which feeds that. You know, there's a purpose to every single thing. So why, when it got to human beings, was there no purpose? We was the end of the purpose. We was just a biological accident. That really sat horrible on my chest growing up. So after getting that memory back, after falling into meditation and spirituality, if I didn't meditate, if I didn't go into that way of living, just trying to find time to just quieten everything down, I that memory would never have come back to me, I don't believe. I always had, like, when I looked at the clouds, I always felt like I could walk on the clouds. Like, there was a way of building on the clouds almost. Even as an adult, I was like, man, there's got to be a way you can go live up there. There's a kingdom up there somewhere. There's a city built up there somewhere in the clouds. Like, you know, I always had this imagination. But after meditating, it was like, bing, do you remember this? And it was like, whoa, like I remembered the years of being a kid telling people, no, there's people up there. There's people up there. Like, I remembered people telling me I was silly and I was stupid and child's got a wild imagination. Then I remembered being up there. And yeah, I just want to tell people that, you know, we live forever. Our consciousness lives forever. Our bodies, as much as we love them sometimes or hate them, they are disposable, like a car. You know, you might end up with a mini micro, you know, and you don't mind when that body gets dumped. Or you might have a Lamborghini and you do mind when that body gets dumped. But either way, our bodies are getting dumped through death. And the whole point of that, in my true belief and my understanding from my heart, is that without this experience here on Earth, I really don't think we could exist on the other side. I don't think there would be enough of a contrast. Without low density places, how would we ever know that was, you know, without a low vibration, you can't have a high vibration. Does that make sense? Without these low vibrational places to feel separation, to feel pain, how is ever going to going back, passing over, going back to heaven? Heaven wouldn't feel like heaven. It would just be the norm. And we'd be bored, sat in space forever, like, well, this is all right, isn't it? What's to do next? And I think it'd be pretty boring. So I think we come to these places to get these experiences. So when we go back, we can be like, whoa, man, that was crazy. I really appreciate the fact we have a heaven, because I need a couple of thousand years to chill out and get over that past life before I get bored and decide to go back again. And I think that just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, until each consciousness of the Earth is risen and this doesn't become too hard to come here anymore. There'll be other planets to reincarnate on where we need to bring the energy back up. And I think it's just an ongoing, everlasting, eternal game of like spring cleaning the universe of negative energy. And there's a lot of work to do. We've been at it for millions of years and billions and trillions, and there's billions and millions and trillions more. So hold on to your seats, guys. Stay positive. And remember, this is all just an experience. You are loved eternally. From soul to soul, I love you eternally. And I will see you all on the other side. So I really, really want to thank you for your patience listening to me today and my experience, my near-death experience that I had. I wish you all the best, and keep doing your thing, keep growing, keep experiencing, and keep positive and keep in a direction of love. God bless.